The day before my period, I saw a note in my fiancé's memo. Predict tomorrow is her period. Remember to prepare pads and painkillers in the bag. I smiled sweetly, touched by my fiancé's thoughtfulness. Until the next day, when my lower abdomen cramped with pain, I went through my bag with a pale face, but there was nothing inside. Dark red blood had soaked through my pants. Students pointed at my back and laughed. I thought he had simply forgotten. But the new intern teacher had just posted on her social media. Just started work and met Mr. Nice mentoring me. He even prepared pads and painkillers for me. This period doesn't hurt at all. The accompanying photo showed ibuprofen and a pad. The medicine was the brand I'd kept at home for years because of my cramps. The pad was the only brand I could use without an allergic reaction. I turned off my phone and stared at the ring on my middle finger for a long while, then got up and went to the principal's office to apply for the International Teacher Exchange Program. 7 years, and he'd never remembered my cycle. There was no need for him to remember it anymore. I submitted my application just as the dismissal bell rang. The principal looked at me with some hesitation, but finally couldn't hold back. Miss Jennifer, you and Mr. Luke are having your wedding next month. Just 2 days ago, you were still designing invitations. Now why? I knew the rest of her unspoken sentence. The exchange program abroad required a minimum of 3 years before returning. How could newlyweds possibly endure such a long separation? Moreover, everyone at school knew that I had chased after Luke for 4 years, dated him for 3 more, and was finally about to walk down the aisle. How could I bear to leave him? But the prerequisite for reluctance to part is that both people like each other. Just now, I suddenly understood that the man who agreed to marry me perhaps didn't like me as much as I'd imagined. I picked at the dried blood in the creases of my fingers. It had gotten on my hands when I was patting myself with thick wads of toilet paper. I said, he and I just aren't meant to be. Principal, I'm asking you for a favor. Please don't tell anyone about this, okay? She frowned, her eyes revealing a trace of pity. All right, I'll keep this confidential for you. The earliest group leaving for the exchange program departs tomorrow. If you want, I can arrange for you to go with them. I nodded and bowed gratefully before leaving the office. My phone rang for the second time. I opened it and glanced. It was a message from Luke. What's taking so long? It's been 10 minutes since dismissal and you're still not down. Ever since Luke and I moved in together, I had to leave with him every day after work. Please, Luke, you already have me. It would be too pitiful for you to go home alone at night. Even though he taught seniors while I taught freshmen, and Luke's dismissal time was a full 2 hours later than mine, requiring me to sit in the office for 2 extra hours, I never found it hard. But today, after he'd only waited 10 extra minutes for me, he was already getting impatient. I pressed my lips together and carefully examined my feelings, but I didn't feel the suffocating pain I'd expected. That's when I knew I'd completely let go. I sent back a message. Still have some things to do, you go ahead. Then I turned off my phone and didn't look again. I returned to the office to pack up my textbooks, organize the materials and class information that needed to be handed over, and an hour later, I finally stretched my aching shoulders and left the school gate. I took out my phone to call a cab when a horn honked behind me, startling me. I turned around to see Luke's car stopped behind me. I froze in place until he honked again and stuck his head out. Get in the car already. Why are you standing there like an idiot? I snapped back to reality and thought about the large bloodstain on the back of my pants that might dirty his car. I pulled open the passenger door, about to sit down. Luke glanced at me and handed me a black plastic bag, suddenly speaking. Wait. I took the bag, momentarily confused about what he meant. You know your period is coming and you still don't know to bring a pad? Jennifer, you're a 28-year-old adult. Can you have some basic self-care skills? Walking around school all day with blood all over your ass? So many students asked me if you had a terminal illness. How embarrassing. Embarrassing? The smell of blood seemed to fill my nose again. Actually, I had remembered to bring pads.